In our last lesson, we learned about the SVG parts and how to animate them. In this lesson, we'll learn how to animate the paths of SVGs and make use of a really handy little plugin called Walkway.js to make animating SVG paths a piece of cake. So to understand what SVG path drawing is, there's this great tutorial here called Animated Line Drawing in SVG by Jake Archibald. And if we scroll down just a bit, we can skip over a lot of this and just check out this this diagram here. So what we have is this SVG line, and according to the stroke-array property, it'll create little dashes that are spaced out. Now if we make this dash really big, like the entire length of the SVG line, now we can use the stroke-offset attribute to offset it. And if we start at its maximum length and then animate it down to 0, it gives the effect that it's being drawn. Now if we scroll a bit further down the page, you can see that we can find out how long this line is using JavaScript. And all we do is we get the query selector and whatever the name of the path is, whatever the selector for path is, and then we say get total length. So then there are ways to create a transition, a CSS transition, modifying the stroke-array and stroke-offset to create this drawing. But it seems like a lot of work, so let's do it the easy way. And there's this jQuery plugin called Walkway.js that does just that. Now, Walkway was invented as a result of this Polygon.com PlayStation 4 review website. So if we refresh, you can see this animations happen. Pretty cool, huh? And as you scroll down, it does it for all the different parts of the PlayStation 4. Now if we go to the GitHub page and just scroll down to the README, we can see the documentation here. The best way I've found to use it is just grab this little snippet right here, and then we can specify the selector, the duration, what easing function we want to use, and then once we declare that SVG as a variable, then we can say svg.draw and call the draw function on it, and it'll create those animations. So let's go ahead and get started doing that. And so we'll create a new folder here, and we'll call it path drawing. Open it up in Sublime Text, create our index file, create our stylus file, open up terminal, go to our desktop, cd to our CSS folder, and run our stylus auto prefixer command. Okay, good. And then we'll open that up in its own window, put it on that side, put this on this side. Excellent. Okay, so now in Illustrator, you can see I've got a few different vectors here that I've created just to kind of show you how Walkway will animate these. So first I've got this Tuts Plus that I've kind of drawn with squiggly lines with just the pen tool. It's not very pretty. I'm not a letterer. So anyway, we'll just come in here, save as an SVG again. We don't actually have to press OK and save it. We can just click the SVG code. And then we'll just grab the SVG code, copy it. And we can close that tab, and then we'll just paste that SVG code in there. Okay, save it and refresh, and we can see Tuts Plus is there. So now we need to grab the walkway.js library. And if we just come up here and grab the walkway.min.js, we can just grab the raw file here, select all, copy, and then we'll create a new file in our JavaScript folder, and we'll just call it walkway.js. Go ahead and paste that in there, then close it. And just down here at the bottom, we'll include that. So script tag js walkway.js. And then we want to make our own custom script. So create one called javascript main.js. Save that. And now we need to create our main.js file. So inside here, all we need to do is come back over to the GitHub, and we'll just copy this overriding defaults snippet right here. Paste that in there, and the selector that we want to use, we can just use SVG since we're just since we only have one SVG on here. So get rid of test. Just write SVG, save it, and now come over here and refresh. And you can see it's drawing these paths. Now it's drawing them all at once, which is very similar to what happens in the PlayStation 4 review site. And a lot of times, like, you don't actually want that. You want it to just draw one path all the way through. For instance, like a cursive signature or something like that. So here's one path, and we'll just go ahead and save this as an SVG. Grab that code, close that tab, and let's get rid of this other SVG here. And just paste that new one in there. Come over here and refresh. And that's how that's accomplished. Now, you might run into a problem whenever you get into actually creating blocks and things like that, where these are polygons. So walkway.js can only act upon path elements. So if you created a block, like let's just say like we created a square, and then we tried to export that SVG, look at the code, and right down here we've got a rectangle. So walkway won't animate that rectangle. But what we can do, we can come back over here, cancel this tab, and we've got our rectangle here. And if we select the pen tool, well, we need to select our rectangle first. And then select the pen tool, and just anywhere on this path, click on it. And then hold down Alt. Oh, I'm sorry. Anywhere on the path, click on it. Okay. Now, select it again. Open up your little direct selection tool, and we can find that anchor again. And then select the pen tool, and now we can kind of curve around from there. Now, if we just take it and make it straight though, if we hold down Shift and Alt at the same time and make it straight and expand it a little bit, now whenever we try to export it as an SVG, you can see that it's a path now. So that's a little trick for converting things to paths that should be straight or polygons, things like that. So we just get rid of this. And I've done that technique to each of these boxes here. So this is, you'll have to imagine this is an Xbox or a PlayStation, something like that. So come down here, save it as an SVG, click on SVG code, grab our code, remove that tab, and then we'll just paste that code in there, save it, and refresh. And that's how you animate paths. In this lesson, we learned how animating SVG paths works and how to use walkway.js to easily accomplish this task. In our next lesson, we'll go a bit more in depth as to how page scroll animations work and learn about another plugin called wow.js that will let us animate content into view quickly and easily.